It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought by Eswatini TV. I'm Sanibonga Ngwane. I'm with Nomakhabe Songamboli. We're coming to you live from the Hospital Hill Studios in Babane. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us, and for your top stories at 8, let's take a look. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini is back home after attending COP28 climate change summit held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where he represented His Majesty King Eswatini III. African countries have the duty to work together in finding solutions in addressing barriers of smallholder irrigation farming in the region. And it is important for national archives to have a response plan for national disasters. Hello again, and now for the news in detail. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini is back home after attending COP28 climate change summit held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where he represented His Majesty King Eswatini III. The Premier arrived last night through the King Eswatini III International Airport.
The Prime Minister and his delegation arrived on Monday evening through King Mswati III International Airport after attending the COP28 Climate Change Summit held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Upon arrival, Prime Minister Russell Dlamini said the COP28 Climate Summit was a huge success and different topics were deliberated upon, which include world collective progress towards the climate crisis. He said during the summit, member states called for developed countries to assist developing countries in advancing actions on adaptation and financing.
Lethulethe inkulumo letinzathu. Inkulumo yethu-ke yekuqala beyigxile khona lapho kokuthi-ke njengelive laKangwane nakamanye athuthukayo alithole lolu sito kulawo mave lasathuthukile. Inkulumo yesibili-ke beyigxile kuletindzaba taka-adaptation lapho khona nakhona sibekile ukuthi nelive liyathingakala ukuthi li-adapte ngokuthi-ke lithathe nemave onke emhlaba siwakhuthathe ukuthi aphindze nje lokungenani ngalokuthathu kwekuthi gas lokuphehlwayo uphehlwa ngalendlela le-renewable lokungenani. Emave yase-Afrika vele athi actually nalolo lokuthathu kuncane ngasehlulekile nje lokuphindza ngalokuthathu. Live laKangwane-ke vele wonke gesi lesiproducela wona langekhathi siproducer 3 renewable means ngoba lilanga ne-hydro.
The Premier further said desertification in the sub-Saharan region is a thorn in the flesh, especially in countries in the African continent. Therefore, African countries are encouraged to invest in vegetation and plantation within the sub-Saharan region. During the summit, the Prime Minister had an opportunity to meet with different world leaders who expressed interest in strengthening bilateral relations with the Kingdom of Eswatini. Reporting, I am Zodwa Dlamini with Smova Shongwe at King Mswati III International Airport.
African countries have the duty to work together in finding solutions in addressing barriers of smallholder irrigation farming in the region. Eswatini hosted the Eastern and Western International Fund for Agriculture Development (IFAD) meeting to look into the future of irrigation systems. Now, the meeting was held at Mountain View on Tuesday and was attended by the Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauke.
I hope this forum will give us the platform to learn and visit project sites to see and interact with farmers so that we design solutions fit for purpose and informed by needs extracted from the most affected.
The International Fund for Agriculture Development (IFAD) gathered countries from Africa to discuss issues and barriers on smallholder irrigation farming. Most communities live through small irrigation farming in East and Western African countries. Howard Mboisa, the Director of Agriculture Development Fund, narrates on the objectives of the meeting.
Together with IFAD, we are trying to promote and attract investments in irrigation development and water harvesting. So we are having this meeting to discuss and share knowledge and lessons that can be taken forward to attract investments for irrigation development and water harvesting.
Francesco Rispoli, the country director of IFAD in this country, says all countries are affected by climate change, an issue that needs to be addressed.
Small producers, they all struggle. They're facing tremendous challenges, and they are the one most exposed to the impact of climate change that put under threat continuously their livelihoods. So this is a common challenge that all countries have.
The meeting will continue for the next 2 days. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Notziles Tole at the Mountain View in Babane.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission and the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini, in accordance with Section 17 of the Elections, or the Election of Women Members to the House of Assembly Act 2018, kindly notifies members of the public that the election of the 4 women will be held on Wednesday, the 6th of December, in the House of Assembly chamber at 14:30. Moving right along, it is important for the National Archives to have a response plan for the national disasters. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, Parliamentary, Dube, said this when he opened the validation workshop for the development of Archives Disaster Management Plan at Happy Valley Hotel at Eswatini.
Climate change continues to pose a challenge for different sectors, prompting them to find innovative ways in their line of work. The National Archives is developing a disaster preparedness plan, which the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, Parliamentary Dube, says is a very important tool in this era.
The process of developing a disaster management plan requires collective effort from all relevant stakeholders, for we each have a part to play. Thus, the Ministry looks forward to your valuable contributions in this meeting, which will validate this draft disaster management plan.
Members of the public have applauded the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology and the National Archives for their plan. They say the history of the country needs to be preserved and must not be lost when disasters strike, as future generations need it.
Siyadinga ukuthi sati nekuthi nalabanye labaseta emva kwethu badinga imlandvo welive.
Umlandvo kufanele ugcinwe kahle uze wendlulele ukuthi ugcinwe digital ngoba tonke tintfo nyalo seti digital.
Mina ngikukhanza ngathi kumcoko lokho lokuthi umlando vele kasugcina sitotati ukuthi nawu Swati utati lokuthi ubuya kuphi wekuzabukaphi wekuvelaphi kunani yini lokukhona laveni kunani nani.
Umlandvo welive umcoka kakhulu kithi, siyabonga kakhulu etikweni.
The Principal Secretary has committed to supporting the National Archives as it develops the plan. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
The Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Principal Secretary Parliamentary Dube, says Eswatini needs to enhance cybersecurity for the safe use of the internet for all in Eswatini. The PS was speaking during a cybersecurity capacity building workshop for law enforcement officers, where he was represented by the Under Secretary Matanjana Mota.
The 2-day workshop is aimed at providing law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and members of the judiciary with essential training on cybersecurity fundamentals, the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act of 2022, and the handling of digital evidence and prosecution techniques. The meeting was officially opened by the Minister of ICT, PS Parliamentary Dube, and he was represented by the US at the ministry, Matanzana Mota.
In a world that is increasingly interconnected, the need for a resilient and well-informed response to cyber threats cannot be overstated or overemphasized. The workshops we are commencing today aim to equip our dedicated professionals with the knowledge and skills needed to navigate the complexities of cybersecurity effectively.
The Eswatini Communications Commission Chief Executive, who was represented by Tanya D'Souza Butler, also made his remarks.
Cybercrime is a scourge that needs to be uprooted as a matter of urgency. The nation is depending on you as the first foot soldiers against such crime.
The International Telecommunications Union Program Officer and Rita Sepoha shared ITU's role in cybersecurity.
Our role, mandate right now, is to ensure that we connect everyone, wherever the means, wherever you are, we want to make sure that you're connected. And that means giving you secure connectivity, ensuring that it's affordable and the safety news and meaningful to our people.
The Royal Eswatini Police Service report indicates that in 6 months, Eswatini were defrauded over 177,000 Malangeni through cybercrime. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza with Zimuva Shongwe, Lobamba.
African countries, including Eswatini, needs to strengthen legislations on women and children's rights. These were set by the National Mechanism for Reporting and Follow-up State Reporting Coordinator Nozipoma Zibugo during a stakeholder meeting.
The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, in collaboration with the Center for Human Rights of the University of Pretoria, hosted a stakeholder meeting on the recommendations under the protocol to the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights. The recommendations by the African Commission were shared by the National Mechanism for Reporting and Follow-up State Reporting Coordinator Nozipoma Zibugo.
That relates to the Maputo Protocol. It's on the rights of women, included in the recommendations and on the need for Eswatini to have a legal aid system. We also to work in continuation regarding the scourge that is prevailing, the gender-based violence.
The Center for Human Rights Program Manager Matilda Laseko Poko said cultural practices violate women's rights in Africa.
A big issue that has been flagged, which we find replicating itself in many African countries on the continent, is the question of customary practices and the predominance of patriarchal norms and the extent to which they hinder the implementation of the Maputo Protocol and the rights that are to enable women's equality in our society.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is amongst 44 out of 55 African Union member states who have ratified the Maputo Protocol on women's rights. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Siwekoza with Zimova Shongwe, Zulwini.
The Eswatini Revenue Services said the business industry will be trained on the Integrated Revenue Administration System, which is scheduled to start in January next year. The Director for Marketing Communications, Vusi Dlamini, says the system aims to make payment of tax easier for the business community. Eswatini TV's Nelson Langamandla has more on that story.
We are changing our current system of submitting income tax returns. A lot of people or a lot of business people will know that the current system is called e-tax. They are going into it through what we call e-tax. So we are changing that, and our intention was to change it 1st of December, but unfortunately we are not able to do it now on the 1st of December, particularly because we still believe that there's some training that we need to do for business community so that by the time the system starts working, our business community, our clients already understand how it works.
Chairperson of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community in the Hoho region, Johannes Manigela, says it is important for Eswatini Revenue Service to train the business industry on the systems that it plans to introduce. He says if business people fully understand the systems of paying tax, they can be in a better position to comply.
Liqiniso sibasibida basibriefa ngawo singfirst week for ukukhulumela ibhizinisi ukuthi siwadi lanathi. Mina ngekubuka kwami letinto kungathi dingabosuka nale minyaka yahulumeni.
Business Eswatini's Chief Executive Officer Nathi Dlamini says they engaged the Eswatini Revenue Service to delay the introduction of the changes in the payment of tax. In a press statement, the Chief Executive Officer encourages the business community to attend the trainings when they start. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Smova Shongwe, Ezulwini.
The Eswatini Legal Aid is currently working on legal information awareness for Eswatini. This was said by the Eswatini Legal Aid Director, Lugala Makakula, when giving an update on the country's legal aid system.
The Eswatini Legal Aid was launched in August this year to increase and ensure access to justice for all Eswatini, as the 2022 Legal Aid Baseline Survey indicates that 58% of Eswatini find the cost of legal representation unaffordable. The Eswatini Legal Aid Director Lungile Makakule says they are working on the decentralization of legal representation information.
We operate under four thematic areas. The first one is legal information and awareness. The second one is advice and referrals. And then the third one is mediation. And then the fourth one is legal assistance, which includes representation. However, I must hasten to state that we are not yet providing legal representation because we are still in the process of enacting a conducive legislative framework, which will include the amendment of the Legal Practitioners Act to allow for attorneys that are not from a firm of attorneys to actually represent those indigent clients who are the target group.
On another note, the Eswatini Legal Aid is currently meeting with stakeholders, discussing measures of ensuring an effective legal aid system in Eswatini. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sam Kalsuekoza with Zimuva Shongwe, Babane.
Eswatini joined the world in commemorating World Competition Day, which is commemorated annually on the 5th of December. This day plays a big role in ensuring fair competition and improving competition on different sectors between consumers.
The Eswatini Competition Commission CEO Mozi Dlamini says the Competition Day is a campaign aimed at ensuring that consumers from across the world realize the potential benefits from an effectively implemented competition regime and also play their role in making competition regimes work worldwide. He says it is critical to focus on competition policy and law issues at an international level that need to be strengthened.
The theme is prioritizing socially sensitive sectors. The theme encourages the prioritization of socially sensitive sectors given the several global crises that have been experienced, which include geopolitical conflicts, pandemics, rising inflation, disruption of food supply chains, and medicines. Now, socially sensitive sectors are those that have high social impact due to their contribution to job creation, income opportunities, health, and subsistence. In view of the importance of socially sensitive sectors, it is critical for competition policy and law to prioritize these sectors in order to create a level playing field to give every business a chance of succeeding. Now, socially sensitive sectors also play a critical role towards supporting the kingdom's economic and development goals, given their importance to the lives of Emaswati.
On another note, he says they have received concerns from companies of a certain company or certain companies that practice unfair competition in the country. He says they are working on resolving that issues as a competition commission. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Notsiles Tole, Mbabane.
Moving further afield, we'll take a look at news making headlines internationally. The Biden administration has sent to Congress an urgent warning about the need to approve billions of dollars in military and economic assistance to Ukraine. Bendulo Kumbi reports.
The administration says Kyivo's effort to defend itself from Russia's invasion may grind into a halt without the financial aid. Congress has already allocated over $100 billion to assist Ukraine. $67 billion for military procurement funding, $27 billion for economic and civil assistance, and $10 billion for humanitarian aid. The Biden administration has said it slowed the pace of some military assistance to Kyiv in recent weeks to try to stretch supplies until the Congress approves more funding. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa says flood deaths toll has risen to almost 70 people after torrential rain, where hundreds of lives have been lost across East Africa as the region is affected by flooding. The Prime Minister yesterday led senior government officials in funeral service for the victims of the tragedy at Katesh Primary School grounds. On another note, The territory's Hamas-run health ministry says roughly 15,900 people, including about 6,000 children, have died since the war between Israel and Hamas. At the United Nations, Secretary General Antonio Guterres appealed to Israel to avoid further action that will make the already bad humanitarian situation even worse. Gazans are running out of places to flee as the number of displaced residents mounted to 9.1 million. Reporting for Eswatini TV, I'm Pendulo Kumbi, visuals sourced from France 24 and DW.
Right, coming back home, we shift gears now into the world of business where we take a look at financial indicators that will give us a sense of how markets fared today in our financial report.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back, and now in our sports news, the 4 regional champions from the 4 regions have been drawn ahead of the tournament's regional semi-finals games this coming weekend at Mkuzweni Stadium, where it will cost only 10 malangeni to watch the 2 games. Now, Young Lovers will play Nyamane Classic in the first game, while the second game, Malahleni United will play Kolani United.
The draw has been conducted for the 4 champions from the 4 regions of the country for the 2023-2024 Ngonyama Cup. The 4 champions are Young Lovers, Kolani United, Malahleni United, and Nyamane Classic. In the first game, Young Lovers will take on Nyamane Classic, while in the second encounter, Malahleni United will play Kolani United. It will only cost 10 emalangeni to watch the 2 games at Mkuzweni Stadium this coming weekend. Chairman of the competitions committee in charge of the tournament, Dr. Comfort Shongwe, has once again reminded clubs and supporters that the tournament promotes peace and respect.
The tournament lena na ubuka kahle in a nutshell, it's in just paneni wherever we are doing. Ngisho emgwaqweni sihloniphaneni, sihloniphene timpawu temgwaqo at all times so that we reduce semi-accidents.
The 2 semi-final winners will then meet at the Regional Ngonyama Cup Champions final at a date yet to be announced. For Eswatini TV Sports, Mbabane.
In current news, the executive member, who also happens to be the Swaziland Japan Karate Association coach Melusi Dlamini, says the new executive of the association has a mandate of trying to promote the sport from all of the 4 regions of the country and be able to compete at Region 5 games in the near future. Dlamini was speaking to a Eswatini TV Sports desk in one of the association's events this past weekend.
So kakhulu sizama nje ke ngalokuthi le committee lelisha office lena nje activity yalo yecala.
Dlamini says Swaziland Japanese karate is not a new sport in the country, as the association has been existing for a while now in the country. What is new is the new executive that is now in charge of the association. The association is still looking to improve in a very different aspect. At the moment, the association will be recruiting in all 4 regions of the country, but also trying by all means to introduce the sport into school, where they will then at a later stage begin to compete regionally. From there, they will be looking to compete at the Region 5 level and try to dominate as possible.
So ke lamanye ama associations akakwendi lokho kwenda ukuthi bebona kwehluke lokho.
Well, with those sports news, we've hit the home stretch of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of news-making headlines tonight. The Prime Minister, Russell Dlamini, is back home after attending COP28 climate change summit held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where he represented His Majesty King Mswati III. African countries have the duty to work together in finding solutions in addressing barriers of smallholder irrigation farming in the region. And it is important for national archives to have a response plan for national disasters. Well, beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, that's how we conclude the news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the team here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.
Hello and welcome to Eswatini TV and to a brand new talk show called A Cuppa with Nomgebo. And I do what I have to do because I know where I'm going. All 5 of my mothers have inspired me.
So the addiction didn't happen then. It happened again another 8 years later. But that's where it started.
Choices I made at the time were not the best choices for myself.
I understand how a person can lose their mind in terms of life experiences.
That's what it looks like, and I like that. But you know what? The journey to my success is never a straight line.
Yeah, people are on the net now, and that's where we'd like to catch them with such shows.
This weekend, Eswatini, your official weekend party starter. Tune in for the best of entertainment. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send your shout-outs. Be sure to catch our movie segment where we review and give updates on all latest movies. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Inibingelele babukeli bayo Eswatini TV nanamuhla lo nibingelela kwa ehlelweni embili kanye extra nguye mbali wakaSimelane